In this movie, we're going to look at functions within MicroSurvey that allow you to add multiple points to objects all in one step. So we've already reviewed how to add single points to some of these building walls. Now I'm going to show you a different tool, which is add points to objects. So I'll select that one, and here it allows me to designate where I want to start numbering, so I'll just pick up at 104. I can set the description that I would like. And here I'm going to tell it only select lines. I can pick OK, and now all I have to do is window in the whole section, and what it's going to do is it's going to pick the endpoints of all lines, the vertexes of any polylines, if we had those in the options in the previous dialog, the midpoints of arcs and the endpoints of arcs, as well as a variety of other entities. When you're finished selecting, you hit enter, and the routine starts to work. There, now it's added a point to basically the endpoint of every line. You got more than enough that you would need for staking out that building. Now in the previous video we had isolated this red layer, and so I'm going to go back, and so we had used the isolate button, and I'm going to use its partner, the unisolate button, because that brings our drawing back to the state it was in before I hit the isolate button. Because now what I want to do is I want to show you the Gridlines function. So in this drawing we've got a series of yellow grid lines, and they also have labels at the ends. So I'm going to use the isolate tool on the layers and the lines, and then I'll hit enter. So now we'll select coordinate grid lines. That'll pop up, and I'm going to configure it this way, and notice how I've turned on the option to use named grid lines as point ID. That way it'll determine point ID names that are intersection points of the different grids. I'll pick on OK, and now it walks me through selecting the different lines. So here it's guessing that the first grid line in the series is going to be A, and if I zoom in there I can see that it is, so I can just hit enter to accept that, and I'll select line A. Now it's prompting me, do I think B will be the next one in the series? And if I look over here, yes, there is B, so I'll hit enter, and I'll select B. Suggest that the next one might be C, which it is. Enter and pick C. And I'll just do one more. The next one will be D. Yes, it is. Enter and pick D. Okay, and if I just hit enter and enter again, sorry, in this case I have to hit escape again. Now it switches over, so it's prompting me for the numbers. So if I zoom in here, it's guessing that we're going to start with point 1. Yes, we are, so I'll hit enter and I'll pick 1. On to 2, enter and 2. Enter and 3. Enter and 4. Enter and 5. And 6. Okay, now that I'm finished, I can hit escape, and it knows that I'm finished setting up the coordinates, and it's added the points to the database. But we can't see the point labels yet, but that's just because I have isolated the grid lines layer, so I'll hit unisolate, and now we can zoom in, and we can say that, for example, a point A5 has been computed at this point, and you can see that it's at the intersection of grid line 5 and grid line A. Okay, so let's finish off just by having a look in the active coordinate editor. And you can see what we've produced. Everything's been given a description. And except for the grid lines, they've just been given a point ID that matches their coordinate. Now, last thing that I might want to do is, before I send things off to the field, sometimes people like to organize things so that they're not determining layers by automap settings, but they'd rather manually determine the layer setting. So Just this time, I'm going to use Active Coordinate Editor to select the first of all of my alphanumeric point IDs, and I hit Shift and I click on the selection bar for the last in the range. Now I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to change Selection Layer. And here I'm going to tell it to move everything from the layer that was already created to a new layer, and I'll just give it a date. And I can highlight that and just copy that name into all the other fields. So it's going to create a new layer. It'll be white color, and it'll be called June 2018. And the point node and all of the point IDs and so forth are going to be moved to that layer. So now I can go back and use my Isolate Layer tool on one of those point IDs. And if we zoom back, we can see it's easy to find all the points that are on the same layer. All right, thanks so much for your interest in this topic.